Alright, quick update on Quant. So, we've almost reached my price target. You know, the last time I made a video on this, I believe we were around the 10th or the 11th of April, and I gave you a warning signal. I told you the daily EMA ribbons were flipping to the downside, at which point you can see we fired a short, and we also broke this ascending trend line. So we weren't looking too good when I made that video, and I said, in my opinion, there is strong support around this green box. I do think the bottom is going to be anywhere between where we are now and the absolute low down here. So, you know, like I said, we were predicting a 23% drop more or less. We've already come down. I mean, the wick, we're only 4% away, so we've pretty much done this target already. We're only about 6.5% away if you are looking at the total move to the downside from where we are now. Now, we really need to hold the bottom of this green box, so let me show you why. First of all, if we draw our fib from low to the all-time high, you can see we have our first 786 fib approximately at $111. This is really similar to what's going on. Actually, it's on 112. This is super similar to what's going on Solana, because Solana also has the 786 at 112, or is it the 618? I'll have to double check, but it's not important for this video. Nonetheless, we've got our first 786 fib from drawing it like that. Drawing it to the close, you can also see absolute last line in the sand, your last 786 down here. And I only really draw this and focus on it because we've already taken out our first 786. So we really need to see a strong reversal for Quant very, very soon. Now, I am a big fan of this in the long term. I think Quant is a great project. Nonetheless, you know, the fundamentals don't always equal what happens in the chart. And you can see that happening with Bitcoin right now. The fundamentals are getting stronger, but the technicals are getting weaker and weaker and weaker as we go down. I do think the bottom is near for Bitcoin, and obviously you can see Quant is falling to the downside right now because Bitcoin formed this asymmetrical triangle, broke to the downside, selling volume stepped in, bears are definitely in control, 4 hourly squeeze mom is really heading down. So I think this is going to carry enough momentum for Quant to continue to the downside and reach our price target of $100. Which is the it's the psychological level. I don't think there is any other reason to it. No. So I mean, you've almost got a 786 there. I mean, from technically from high to low, you've actually got a 786 right there on $100. So we do have a fib to back up $100. But I really have the $100 as a psychological level more as than a Fibonacci target. But nonetheless, from this recent bottom to this impulse up here, very, very valid. Your 786 is down here at $100. So we really only have a few more lines in the sand. Once we take out $104, if we take out $104, because bear in mind we came down and bounced on it, which is a good sign, number one. We've bounced on $104, our second 786 fib. We only have one more level, and this level can absolutely not break, because if we do break to the downside of $100, then there's really nowhere else for us to go apart from sweeping the lows at $83, which is a nasty, nasty drop. You can also see this lines up with this previous highs that we put in. We really don't have anywhere else to go. I mean, we'd have to come down and sweep the lows of this uptrend if that does happen, and I don't necessarily think it is too likely if we do that. Yeah, I mean, your 1.618s down here are very disgusting, so maybe we should run off the recent impulse that got rejected. You've got a 1.618 down here at 80 as well. So, I mean, we really don't want to break below these levels. These are your absolute lowest levels that we can hold before we do have a nosedive. But I do think we are going to hold $100. Bear in mind, I've been calling $100 since we were up here at $130. And while that wouldn't be too much of a move, on most cryptos, a 23% drop. For Quant has a decent market cap. So, you know, if you're a big fan of Quant in the long term and you joined me on this short-term trade, then obviously you're able to buy back in cheaper. So congratulations to you. We are still short-term looking a little bit shaky, but I would like to highlight, you know, the macro trend is still technically in play. until we put in weekly closes below 104. So I think between 104 and 100 we're going to see a big amount of buyers step in. You know, we don't necessarily have to hold 104 like today. We can break it today, come down to 100, and then have a big impulse and W out. That is personally kind of what I see playing out anyway. That's really all I've got for Quant. In the short term, it looks like the bears are in control and we're going to start to lose momentum. Once again, 4 hourly bears have reset the squeeze momentum indicator. On the hourly, a lot of selling volume stepped in the past hour, and while in the last hour the momentum is starting to subside because the price is coming back potentially to as high as 109 to 112 to come into these hourly EMAs, I still think the macro downtrend is calling for us to come down here. But nonetheless, I was saying I think we're going to bottom in this green box. We are now in this green box. I really don't want to focus too much on saying, oh, I'm predicting we're going to have another move down to 100, because I've been predicting a move down to, you know, this green box, and we've come down to 105 from 130. In my opinion, that's my target hit. So I'm looking for a bounce. I'm looking to enter a trade on Quant actually for the long term. Once we have a bounce and a strong bottoming signal, I will give you an update and I will look to hop in. That is all I've got for you today for Quant. Once again, none of this is financial advice. And one last thing to finish this off, if we look at the daily, the money flow indicator often bottoms just below the 20. So here you can see we bottomed at 17, we bottomed at 15, here we actually bottomed at 20, and here we bottomed at 15. So a lot of the time we bottom between 15 and 20. And if we come over to the money flow indicator now, we bottomed at 18 so far. So that's why I'm saying I really do think the bottom is going to be in this green box. And I'm not saying we have to now move down to $100. Otherwise, you know, I was wrong on this move because I was calling for this move since 230. So if we do have a strong reversal out of this green box, I may potentially look to accumulate some quantum. And obviously that is better than, you know, accumulating, you know, when we're all the way up here at 130. So that's all I've got for Quant. Once again, not financial advice. Cowboy out. Peace. See you in the next one.